Hello everyone, I am your host, the Alpha J, and today we'll be visiting Very Oddparents' spin on April Fools. Honestly, this feels like the first episode where I don't really have to explain anything. It's April Fools, it's Very Oddparents. I feel like I'm missing something.
But whenever I see things like this, I sit back and say, this is a real enemy. Yeah, Teen Titans Go wants to be childish and say that their humor is what makes their show good, or it's okay to make a stupid show, but at the very least, it's something. What do I take away from this episode? Only that it's the real enemy. Forget Uncle Grandpa, forget Pickle and Peanut. This show is literally not trying at all.
I know, but I did say that all of these reviews were going to be from good episodes, and I feel as though this episode isn't bad. Even if it was average, it still fit the form of April Fools and would have been posted in this month anyway. So Timmy ends up being pranked by his friends, family, and godparents. Now his godparents looks like it's all in good fun, so does his parents. But when it comes down to his friends, well, that escalated quickly. Although they do all of the cards they usually play, I would like to point out that Timmy does say the words,
well, at least there wasn't a pie.
and of course the pie comes out, but you didn't expect it when he first opened the gift and the groundhog attacks Timmy after the fact. Timmy usually gets beat up, so it's fine. No need to be serious about this one-off gag. So Timmy gets up to April Fools.
Finally! The day I get my revenge on everybody who pranked me!
Hey, you usually do not announce your plans to the people you want to prank. That would make them paranoid. Unless you're going the Drake and Josh route, where Megan didn't do anything besides say that she was going to get them back, only to watch them in paranoia, with that in itself being the payback. But I don't think Timmy's that clever.
The news this morning is snow and lots of it.
Look out the window, look out the window, look out the... I think the weather episode where they ran off Aaronist Weatherman comes after this episode, so this joke is pretty fresh and funny. I love how Vicky and Timmy's parents came to see this choreographed prank. Vicky is never seen in this episode before or after this moment, and is only here only to make Timmy's day worse. Now, I don't want to say episodes are good just for the sake of Animation April. That's not my plan at all. I don't want to convince myself that an episode is good. And by watching this over a few more times, I fully believe that this episode is solid. Ha.
Everybody else plays great practical jokes on me all year long. But mine stink!
Yeah, you shouldn't announce that you're going to prank someone before you do it. Also, Cosmo is never affected by the pranks. He gets hit with a pie later on, as well as take the joy buzzer correctly, but he doesn't seem affected by it like Wanda. So Cosmo explains that Timmy is no April Fool, and also shows him an autographed photo, which he also says is a restraining order. Now, I could say that this is a plot hole, but I feel perfectly fine chalking it up to the fact that it is not an official form. Plus, who would enforce it? Wanda explains that the April Fool has never been to Earth before. Well, we all know Timmy has to be first for everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the comedy stylings of the April Fool.
Cosmo's the true star here. He even tops the egotistical fool himself when we see the climax. So we see the fool at the comedy club doing his usual stick. However, the April Fool gets teleported to Timmy's room. This sets up a gag that forms over time.
Knock, knock!
Who is there? I fear we will never know who was knocking.
Cosmo's laughs are the highlight of this episode.
Oh, a chocolate syrup squirting flowers! It's a classic! What's up with that?
So the fool goes through and pranks Timmy's fairies, doing a part of his revenge before he even acts. There's also a foreshadow point. If the fool cannot get his joke out, then he will blow it up and be blown back to fairy world. Pretty weird how someone who has never been wished to Earth just has this rule just out of the blue. I mean, where I live, I can tell you that I know nothing about the laws in other countries, let alone other continents.
Why, given all the comedic power at my disposal, should I help you?
I have gum.
Is it spearmint?
Yup.
I'm in!
Hey, if he's okay with it, then I'm okay with it. So they go to school and camp out in the lockers, and just as convenient, Chester walks right past them as they open the lockers. Wanda's smiling. Shouldn't she be worried like she always is? I feel like they watered down her nagginess a little bit too much in this episode, but it did have a huge pro in the process that I will discuss later.
Get your braces cleaned for free? Just look up.
Don't try this in real life, kiddies. So now we get to AJ wheelbarrowing an essay on the history of mankind that he wrote since he was born, and long story short, he just set up his own prank.
Pull here if you're the smartest kid in the world.
Now let me explain why this joke works here. Now, to the audience, there isn't malicious intent. Of course Timmy is fueled on revenge and the April Fool is mean-spirited, but the joke works because AJ here isn't really hurt. The essay means nothing. It wasn't built up to, it doesn't stay on this moment, and the essay isn't something the audience would really care about. It's not like a child photo or something irreplaceable. AJ is really smart, and this is a gag, so it's best not to take this as serious as it would imply. Also, AJ set himself up.
Ha! Why doesn't it just say, AJ, pull here?
So let's lighten the mood with a bit more of the star himself.
Sorry.
So this is where the progression from okay to slightly mean to totally mean. So the April Fool teleports Timmy to the broken glass and pointy objects factory, which apparently keeps all of its pointy objects out in the open. But this is a gag, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, in a way it's forced, but Very Odd Parents wasn't always graceful when it came to pain-related comedy. So here is why this works. Now again, it isn't built up to, and it doesn't sink in, and it just moves on. Also, Timmy came to this conclusion himself. But if you want to believe that the April Fools would kill Timmy's parents, just remember, the entire town of Dimsdale laughed at Timmy being ripped up to shreds by a gopher. There is no saint here. Timmy calls out the April Fool for being harsh.
Nobody cancels the fool!
Dude, you are not being funny. You're being harsh.
Don't you tell me what's funny!
Wow, that guy is pretentious. Why do fairies take their job so seriously, like they're a god or goddess or something? Because the April Fool isn't the only one who can do this. So the April Fool basically goes off the rails and pulls the "if I can't, then no one can't" card.
I'm gonna close my set with a little juggling and bounce the moon into an orbit between the sun and the earth and cause a new ice age!
They usually involve the entire world when it comes to episodes on the Very Odd Parents. I'm not sure what Mongolia did to accept the April Fool's wrath. Sorry France, sorry Peru, sorry Atlantis. You all have to freeze to death because of one 10-year-old's wish. Honestly, if it wasn't for the beginning of this episode, this really wouldn't have been so good. I'm glad they got the comedy part right to actually show the dark side of the April Fool so well. I actually kind of hate the guy, and I'm supposed to. But here's the difference. I dislike the guy in a way that I want to see him lose. Unlike, let's say, Beast Boy in Teen Titans Go, where I dislike him so much that I just turn the channel. That's how antagonists work. And speaking of Teen Titans Go, because of their prank video, I want to stick it to them again, but I'll wait until the end. So Timmy, on his own, decides to come up with a plan to get the April Fool backed up on his own comedy. He decides to use the laughing gas to make everyone in the world laugh. Why does it hit Cosmo and Wanda and not the April Fool? Never mind the French, Asian, and Egyptian cliches that the show thrives on, but they foreshadow the situation because it works, because it involves the April Fool basically sitting on his comedy, which is plausible. So the April Fool gets sent back to Fairy World.
Tell me who was knocking! Can't breathe! What's up with that?
I don't really want to spoil the end, but they did do the entire plot of Teen Titans Go in a side gag. That's right, a series from over a half decade ago did a side gag that a modern show, that should know better, couldn't grasp the basics of why it would not work. This isn't the last April Fool's episode I'll be doing, however, this should not be looked over. Very Odd Parents' earlier seasons has its gems, and this is no exception. This is a second in a 3-part series of me reviewing April Fool's episodes. The first one was Rocko's Modern Life Pranksters. I highly guarantee you to look at that. Then there's this, and the last one I am doing is the SpongeBob one. If you have any requests, tell me in the comments below, unless you're watching this a year later and I might not take requests. So if you're watching this now, you have the benefit of giving me requests. Anyways, I hope your time was well spent, and Alpha out.
They can't all be jams.
One would be nice.